Oh man, I need to sleep and cut my hair. Okay. What's up, home buddies? It has been an insane 2 weeks since I launched the FutureStages. Oh man, I need to sleep and cut my hair. Okay. What's up, home buddies? It has been an insane 2 weeks since I launched the FutureStages, and the response has been overwhelming and all over the place. Positive, negative, and never ending. I want to give a huge shout out and gratitude to everyone who has shared the tutorial videos, created their own audience experiences or begun experimenting with that, and especially to Ruthie at Playbill, who did an incredible feature that basically overnight introduced me to all the other weirdos who are playing in this virtual performance sandbox. My days have been jam-packed with virtual walkthroughs and consulting to basically create band-aids for virtual performance events and opportunities in this moment. It turns out that a lot of other people were working on things similar to the FutureStages that they intended to sell to the community, and I accidentally stepped on a lot of toes. This has led to an incredible response, some of which is very positive that I gave the secret sauce away for free, and others that is less than positive, shall we say. But the fact is that this stuff is really uncertain and bizarre and doesn't all exactly work yet. The technology has not met this moment, and in the interim, a lot of people are unemployed, which is incredibly scary. So we have to make the best of what we've got, and all we have is each other. So let's do this. While there is so much cool stuff happening in the background with early conversations and early experiments in this space, a lot of people keep asking me to point to an actual virtual production that uses my tutorials. But if you follow me, you know I've been kind of busy doing actually other stuff and had no idea that this was going to take over my life. So I cleared my schedule for the past couple days and took an honest look at what has maybe been preventing my community from adopting new technologies. I've experimented with performing a monologue live using free live streaming software. I used baby monitor apps to put a scene partner into a virtual stage with me, and I released the FutureStages to allow audiences an actual theater-going experience in virtual space, no matter what technology or device they owned. But I couldn't sleep this week because I needed a larger conversation about the actual format. What is theater, and why do people watch it? So today's video, I'm going to take a bunch of different GitHub tutorials and duct tape them together to try to experiment with what the format for theater might need to become in this current media ecosystem. There have been some really cool productions and case studies, but I'm just going to focus on a handful in the order that I found out about them, from the Public's Apple Family Plays, NYU's The Clouds, the Geffen's The Present, Kira Benzine's Love Seat, the Under's The Tempest, Pixel Playhouse's Definitely Not Clue, Irish Rep's The Weir, and San Francisco Shakespeare's recent King Lear. Except for The Tempest and Love Seat, which use VR, all of these productions have basically used a video conference software like Zoom to broadcast a multimedia performance to a live audience either within the video conference software itself or streamed out to a secondary social sharing platform like YouTube or Twitch. So for example, my actors log into Zoom, we coordinate where everybody looks and talks, we use the background replacement to throw up some fancy dancy atmosphere, we sell tickets to the Zoom link or stream out to another platform, and bam, we're doing Zoom theater. Ultimately, this means these productions are limited to the toolkit and the technical capability of the video conferencing platform, which was never intended to host a full-scale event, leading to what some are calling Zoom fatigue. Likewise, The Under Presents The Tempest and Double I Productions' Love Seat were hosted in virtual reality, necessitating that the audience owned a very specific VR headset and turning a portion of the show into somewhat of an instructional workshop to teach the audience how to use the controllers and interact with the performance. Now, I should take a pause and clearly state that all of these productions are revolutionary in their own right. We are facing an unprecedented global health event and shutdown, and literally anybody that does anything to bring art and storytelling to an audience trapped at home deserves a freaking MacArthur grant, in my opinion. But the elephant in the room is that these productions are still struggling to be adopted by the larger theater community. Now, someone much smarter than me will write the book about why, but my hypothesis is that, for lack of a better word, Zoom plays instantly beg the comparison to other 2D audiovisual mediums like film and television. And we're currently in a golden era of streaming television and film content. So it invites the awkward and uncomfortable existential question about what theater even is and where it belongs. I mean, nobody wants to make bad, lo-fi live television. They want to make theater, or something like it. This goes back to my TCG talk in June, taking inspiration from social streamers like Twitch to create professional live broadcast to a synchronous audience with built-in engagement and monetization tools. So I wanted to return to that tree and shake it and see if there was any fruit. Okay, that was a really dumb thing to say. Moving on. While folks have had a mixed reaction to actually entering the future stages, the ones who have almost all expressed a longing for sharing a defined space with strangers and having complete control over where they look and move watching live entertainment. Okay, so go with me here. We need to empower the viewer to have control over their experience for a streamed live event in real time within a defined and dynamic environment of some kind. And we want full-bodied performances that escape the frame of film and television so we can avoid that comparison. For funsies, let's call this CLEF because I love a good acronym, and it's a very notable tool in music performance. In response to people's hesitation to log into the future stages and walk around and look around, I had one of those 3 a.m. ideas about how you could offer the audience control over what they were watching. I found a great tutorial of Mike from GameFromScratch.com in using WebRTC render streaming. Now, what the heck does that mean? Basically, with RTC, real-time communication, you can control and manipulate an object from within your web browser, kind of like the future stages. So for this, I'm using Unity 3D, which is a free game engine that you can download at unity3d.com. I actually used this program for A Tale Told by an Idiot, which is my adaptation of the Scottish play, to be able to create my own animations with almost no budget. Wait, what's that? Oh, the cost was 2 years of my life and my sanity? Great. Moving on. Mike gives a great tutorial on how to find and install these drivers to unlock the render streaming template inside Unity. You'll note there are newer versions of these drivers, but I could not get them to work, so I'm just using version 1.1 for this experiment. You select the version of Unity you want to add the driver to, drop the drivers in the folder that Mike tells you, and then when you create a new project with that version, it gives you a new template option. Boomtown. Start your new project, and oh no, don't panic. For some reason, Unity doesn't like loading this new project, so just click retry and continue at the error message, and it'll open up and run just fine. Now in the library inside Unity, you're gonna have a scene folder that has a sample scene from Unity. And this is a construction site, literally, that they give you to learn their toolkit. So we'll open that up. And you see I've got two windows in the center of my screen with my scene view and my game view. The scene view is what I see to be able to manipulate objects, and the game view is what will ultimately render out when the game is loaded. On my left side over here, I've got all my assets being used in the scene, and on the right side, I've got a little inspector on the top, and I'm keeping my library on the bottom right. That's Unity 3D. It's free. I invite you to download and play around with it. Now on the left, under my scene assets, I have render streaming camera. And when I click on that, I'll see a field for a URL signaling. If I right-click my asset folder down in my library and show in Explorer, it'll open up the bin folder to start running webserver.exe. It's going to give you two addresses on your network, and you pop in the first one into the field in Unity and leave the web server up and running. This is important. I forgot to do this many times, and it drove me nuts. Just leave it running. Now, when I click play in Unity, I can log into that same address from my web browser, click the play button there, and I see a live feed of what the game view is rendering. It's pretty cool, but it gets better. From this web browser, I can use my mouse to move around the scene, giving me real-time control of my experience from outside Unity. What? A quick warning, I could only get this to work on my PC, not my Mac, and I had to update literally everything, Windows, the video drivers. So if you choose to do this, just be patient and kind with yourself, or hire someone, not me, to do this for you. But I got this far. Now let's take this a step further and open up our trusty OBS. And I can create a new browser source using the same web server address, right-click, select Interact, and now I can click play and move around the scene from within OBS. Are you kidding me? So, okay, imagine I'm on a live stream. I can take any 3D complex model inside of Unity, which is a gaming engine, so it could be anything, right? And I can manipulate it from within OBS in real time during my stream. Not bad. Okay, so yes, this is a sample construction model, but what if your scenic designer already uses a 3D software to mock up their sets? They can just export that model into Unity, and you could start adding lights, camera movements, animation events, textures. It's pretty much anything you can do in a video game. But Brendan, it's not a video game, it's theater. I know, I'm sorry, we're getting there. Okay, so going back to Clef, we have control over our experience using our web browser and WebRTC. It works live. We can bring in any 3D environment using tools that scenic designers are already familiar with. And now we just need to get our actors, oh no, actors. So this is where my own technical knowledge starts to, shall we say politely, erode. I took a big swing this week and lost a lot of sleep. And it's not bad, but it's not quite there. But it's close, which means someone out there can make it better. Now, I could just do what I've been doing and bring in multiple video feeds to OBS, remove the background. Now let's composite the actors onto the same playing area, and boom, we can start live streaming. However, because the actor's video feed is just layered on top of the Unity game view, when I move the scene around, it becomes pretty obvious that the actors are completely separate from the background. Wah wah. Quick tangent, I'm a huge fan of Ian Hubert, who does amazing world building and green screen work inside the 3D program Blender. If you're a low-budget filmmaker, you absolutely must be watching his stuff. But Ian talks about attaching his actors to the camera to trick the viewer's eye so it doesn't look like a 2D film clip on top of a 3D environment. Illusions with people and scenery, you say? Sounds like theater. So I want to see if I can bring my actor into Unity and anchor their video to the environment. Then when I move the field of view, the actor stays in the same relative position. Now, obviously I can't invent a camera angle, so if I move all the way to one side, they're gonna look like a cardboard cutout of a person. It's still a 2D video, but it's not a thing. So I'm gonna add a video player to my Unity scene. I'll start with a video file on my computer for now, but I can replace this with a URL later. I create a render texture for this video player to output to. Think of this like a projector. It's just playing the video. I have to tell it where to beam the image. That's our render texture. Now I add a 3D object of a plane or a cube to act as my projector screen. And when I make a new object, I have to give it a material or it's invisible. So I create a new material, and in the drop down of this material, I see base map, and I drag my render texture here. So now Unity is basically saying, I played this video as a render texture, which is being used as a material for this object. Sample. But we have a problem. There is no built-in chroma key tool to remove my green screen, or at least not one that I could find in about 10 hours of searching and reading forums. The effect we're talking about is called a shader graph inside Unity. Now, many incredible people have designed and uploaded their own shader graph for green screen removal, but for some reason I could never get other people's shader graphs to work in my Unity. The closest that I got was Matthew from Third Aurora, where he basically made a Snapchat filter of a Star Wars hologram. It's pretty cool. And after giving up on trying to use his shader graph, I just started using his green screen video template to build my own. So thank you, Matt. I've put you in my video today. What's really slowing me down here is that most programs are moving to a node-based system, which I'm slowly learning, but it does kind of make my head hurt, and I don't really understand the nodes within Unity specifically. So we'll do what we can and create a new shader in Unity, give it a name, and double-click to open up this fancy-dancy window. And then I can drag this to any region of my screen just to keep it neat. So this node is the final output of my shader. The albedo is the color, so if we set this to blue, click Save, and now drag this shader onto the material of our object that's projecting the image, turns the whole object blue. If we change this to white, we click save, now it's white. Thrilling, I know. But we need to add some nodes to take our original render texture of Matt's video and filter out the green color. So we add a node for a sample texture 2D, and we drag our render texture onto this node. Hey, there's our guy. Now, we could take this RGBA, which is the reds, blues, greens, and alpha channels, and drag it over to the albedo, click save, and now we're right back where we started, but with nodes. Now, other programs have a color key node. You just pop it in and it does the thing, but Unity does not, that I can find. So the majority of my week has been spent playing with different combinations of nodes. And what makes sense to me is that I want to take the green channel for our render texture and filter it out as the alpha layer so that it disappears. Maybe I don't understand nodes. Maybe I haven't slept. Maybe it's both. But instead, Unity is like, what's that? You really like the color green. Oh, let me give you only the color green. I tried to do this with other channels to see if it would get rid of just greens, but it didn't. So I'm stuck with the greens. So instead of giving up, I basically just want to do the opposite of what I'm doing and just invert the channel node and ran the green channel into an invert node and then out to the alpha. Hit save, and oh boy, that is terrible. But we're starting to see the idea. If anybody knows anything about Unity nodes, please help me. For now, I'm gonna try to get a little more precise by adding one more node, which is a vector node, which is just gonna let me dial in the effect, add it to my blackboard. Yes, that is what they call this little side area. And by clicking convert to property, name it something I'll remember. And now I don't have to look at these nodes anymore, and I can just adjust this amount in my inspector window over here. Now, save. I can click play in Unity, and when I move around the scene, the video of Matt responds like he's in the environment with really bad green screen. Pretty cool, but this was supposed to be live. Come on, Bradley. All right, so let's go back to our video source now that we've figured out our background removal and change it to a URL. Now let's go to YouTube and grab a video that is streaming right now. Perfect. Take that link, throw it in, and uh-oh. So remember when I said that we could just change this URL later? It's not that I lied to you, it's that I lied to me, and I'm very sad about that. So it seems that Unity is very limited to what codecs can be played inside of Unity. Now, if this wasn't live, I could just use this quick trick using VLC Player to play a network URL with my link. And then when it's playing, I use the tools, codec information, and I have the hard link to the MP4 file instead. I can put that in and it'll play. But it still doesn't work because YouTube is live streaming in M3U format, which Unity cannot read. I even tried to manually replace the URL with .mp4 instead of .m3u, but that didn't work. Okay, for the two of you that are still watching this video, we need a Unity-friendly video feed, which leads me to WEBM and HTML5 video. I did a search for WEBM sample videos, and I found this animated film trailer streaming online. And look, lots of pretty green colors. So we pop in this URL, click play again, and now it plays our URL instead of the clip of Matt. Huzzah! My green removal shader that was already pretty crappy is really struggling with the more kind of yellowy green in this video, but I can stop playing and dial this in with my little blackboard property I created, you know, real quick and terrible. And again, if anybody knows anything about Unity nodes, please send help. There's no ego here. I just want it to look cool. And we play the video again and see I'm streaming a URL into my environment and keying out the green or keying out something in real time. And I can move around. Now, I know this doesn't look perfect, but it's an early case study. And imagine there's a better green screen, maybe using other 3D tools like Blender or Unreal Engine, and compositing actors' live video feeds into a 3D environment and live streaming that to your audience. To finish out with a little redemption, I'm going to take 2 clips in ProRes format, which will actually remove the background for me, and bring those straight into Unity, put onto a 3D model that I found, add some lighting, render it out, and now I can play and interact inside of OBS and live stream it to you right now. I've anchored the actors to the scenery so the movements can be blocked for that specific stage. And look on the ground. Our bodies even produce shadows on the actual environment just to give it that little extra sense of depth and reality. There is a lot more to explore here, and the whole process took me about 72 hours and 5 complete rebuilds when I crashed Unity, and then put way too much time into making this video. So imagine what we could do in a week, or by the end of the month, or the end of the year. Is this maybe a little more complicated than it needs to be? A bit, sure. Have you met me? But I really think it's going to be important to integrate a 3D rendering engine into our workflow early on because of the potential it's going to unlock for more control, more quality, and just more tools in general. Imagine integrating anything you can do in a video game real time with a live performer, like becoming a full avatar animated character, almost like a puppet on stage. And the application of this could open up to any virtual workflow: film and television, game design, conferences, education, but definitely theater. This goes beyond a video conference. It gives the audience more control over their engagement. It's a live, synchronous experience. It integrates imaginative environments from physical stagecraft just using virtual tools. And you get full-bodied performances that escape the tiny boxes. If you like these videos, you know the drill. You can like, subscribe, and share. Comment below if you have any tips or tricks on how to make this whole thing work more smoothly. Be kind to each other, and now go create something.